Hey everyone. Well, kind of an interesting morning. What's going on is um, my son had a tough baseball game last night, and he's pretty hard on himself when he doesn't perform the way he wants to, and he kind of carried that with him through last night. It was a pretty silent ride home. Um, he wanted to keep to himself, and I wanted to honor his space and let him work through his emotions. And I did a little bit of testing with him near closer to the end of the night. Just kind of walked in and said a few things and tried to register where he was emotionally, if he was back down and stabilized his emotional baseline, but he was not. He wasn't necessarily escalated, but he was definitely in a range in between, and he was definitely out of his comfort zone. So I was just supportive and kind, and he was very quiet the rest of the night. This morning, um, it seemed like he's still carrying that with him. Uh, he's a junior high boy, so there's a lot of stuff going on for him. But I woke him up this morning and was being playful, and he wasn't having the playful piece, so I let that go. And then he got up and got ready on his own. Everything was fine. He was quiet in the morning, but I couldn't quite tell exactly where he was. And then it was time to get in the car, and he um, he desired to get in the front. He wanted to be in the front seat, and we do have an understanding, an expectation that we set, since he's the younger and my daughter's the older, and um, you know she's the one who sits in the front the majority of the time. But I let him know that once a week during this early morning thing that they do, that he could sit in the front, and they've been fine with that. Um, but last time they were with me, they he had missed his day, or he had not sat in the front or something. Anyways, something happened to where he ended up sitting in front on a different day, and my daughter kind of looked at me like, what? And I just said, is it really that big a deal? I mean, he hasn't sat in front all week. Why don't you just give him a turn? They did. I was able to just give them a lot of verbal reinforcement for that. Let him know that I really appreciated her, and that I thought it was nice for him to ask, and that kind of stuff. So I was really appreciative, and I really wanted to let them know. Well, this morning it didn't turn out that way. So this morning it wasn't an ask. It was a different tone of voice. It was a demand. It was, hey sister, I'm sitting in front. As she's walking out to the car, and he's still not even out of the house. And I could tell by the tone of voice, the volume of the voice, the cadence of the voice, the affect that he had, that this was a kid who was out of sorts. And he hasn't he didn't get paid off last night for being frustrated, and no one gave him a whole bunch of attention around, oh, are you feeling sad, or are you feeling mad? It doesn't work that well anyway. He doesn't like that. It turns into conflict. He didn't get any conflict around it this morning either. He was frustrated, and said that to her and wanted to get into the car, and I didn't say a word. I wasn't even gonna get involved. He's like, hey dad, but I want to sit in front. I was already out the door. I was already going to the car. He hadn't talked about it in an appropriate negotiation way at the right time. So I wasn't, that wasn't going to be a part of what was happening today. And I knew that he was going to get escalated, and I knew that I wasn't going to be a part of that escalation. If he's going to go through an emotional ride, I want him to be able to get through his emotions on his own. And I will go back to him later today once I see him emotionally settled again, and I will review this, and I will tell him that I was proud of him, that he was super angry about not sitting in the front, and he felt like it was unfair, but this is what I saw you do. I saw you handle it in a way where you stayed quiet. I saw you avoid more arguing that you could have had. I saw you listen to me when I said, hey, have a great day, go crush your day today, buddy, when I dropped him off. No, he didn't answer me. No, I didn't get a lot of love back. But if I would have demanded that, I would have made everything worse for him. I would have made things worse for me. And then we would have gone on to our days carrying that with us. So I'm not about that. But I'm definitely about giving him his due when I see him again. However, when he got in the car, he did sit behind my daughter and the pushy bump into the back of your seat type of thing, trying to show that I'm frustrated. And she did a great job of just saying, knock it off, brother. Don't do that, brother. Stop it. And I, after I dropped him off, I was able to tell her, hey, you handled that really well. He is really frustrated from his game last night. He was frustrated this morning. Obviously, when he's like that, I'm not going to try to engage him, and you're not going to try to engage him, and you didn't. You did a great job, so I really appreciate it. I wanted to talk about a situation where a rule had been set in the past, and there was a negotiation around that rule in the recent past. Now that rule's been in place for a long time. Then there was a negotiation around that rule in the recent past, and then today, because of that negotiation, something came up where during an escalation, my son tried to use the fact that it had been negotiated before to access something that was not he was doing it because he was escalated. He wasn't trying to negotiate again in the appropriate way. And so it's interesting for me to be in a place where I'm in review now. So I'm in review because of this whole situation. And this is really what I wanted to get to of this talk was I'm in review because I have set an expectation about who sits in front, what days, and how many, and when does that switch? And there was a negotiation on that the last week they were at my house, and so that rule was in place, but then the negotiation happened that was appropriate and worked out fine. So that rule has now had a negotiation. And today when my son was escalated, he tried to push a change of that rule in a way that wasn't appropriate negotiation. Right. What happens is it's now on my radar. It's not that, now I need to make a different rule or change it or be super tight or super strict. I might have to be super tight or super strict or re-clarify. But it's on my radar. And that's what I wanted to get to was that predictability and consistency for kids. If I notice a pattern during the times that we're headed out the door in the morning where my son is trying to negotiate a difference over and over and then it causes conflict, then I'm going to adjust my expectations so that we don't have a situation that I'm partially responsible for because of allowing blurry lines to happen around. You can have rules and then negotiate them. If that's going to cause a problem, I'm out. Yes, I want my kids to have their own voice. Yes, I want them to negotiate and learn how to negotiate well. No, I don't want them to be robots. But I will definitely not allow a situation to continue to grow and not do my part and say, hey, I need to make a clear rule about this. This is how it's going to be. And then that actually offers me a lot of opportunity as well to be able to then reinforce them for following the rules. So, okay. That's where I wanted to get to. I wanted you to think about that as you come into interaction with kids and students, that if you notice a certain situation coming up over and over again, that you reflect on how clear am I on my expectations around this? What's the minimum that I need out of this situation? And then make a rule around that minimum expectation and then make it clear. And then follow the routine. Explain it to them when they're in emotional baseline. If they're triggered, support them in understanding. If they're escalated, give them the choice. You have the choice to do this on this time, but not on this time, and then pull the plug and let them go through their crisis if they need to. And then when they get back to baseline, you get to appreciate them and love on them for what they did well. Because if we're looking into shaping behavior and reinforcing what you want to see and punishing what you don't want to see, then reinforcing those things like, hey, you didn't continue to argue, or you stopped, you were able to stop yourself, or all that stuff. Those are all important things that oftentimes we don't see as adults, because we look at it as, oh, that whole situation was awful. In reality, there was pieces of that situation that weren't awful. And if you can take the time to reinforce the things that you want to see out of kids, the behaviors you do want to see, they will grow. And if you can avoid giving a lot of interaction and love and relationship and whatever else, you're giving them a way to buy into social interaction, a way to buy into importance in the family around arguing and conflict and frustration, you're going to reinforce that, and we don't want that. So that's why we pull the plug. We say, no, I'm not doing that, and I hope that helps. Hey, have a great day, everybody, and more videos to come. Thanks for listening.